which is going to take some time, and we are able to respectfully notify the next of kin first. The investigation continues. We have area SWAT teams and the Broward Sheriff's Office SWAT team clearing the entire airport. There'll be no movement in or about the airport until our SWAT teams give me real-time information that it's safe. Right now we're taking, this scene is considered fluid and active. We won't be, well, we have, one of the more critical pieces of information is we have the shooter in custody. He's unharmed. No law enforcement fired any shots. The subject is being interviewed by a team of FBI agents and Broward Sheriff's Office homicide detectives. There's been incredible cohesiveness and cooperation between the Broward Sheriff's Office, the FBI, FDLE, and all the local law enforcement entities. We'll answer your questions at the end. We'll answer your questions at the end. At this point, I'm going to put the director of the airport on to tell you about what's going on at the airport. Then you'll be hearing from the SAC, Mr. Pirro. Then I'll come back to answer questions.
Thank you, Sheriff. As the Sheriff said, my name is Mark Gale. I'm the airport director here at the Fort Lauderdale International Airport. When the incident occurred, we responded. Many of you know that we've suspended operations at the airport for the time being. We're working together with all the law enforcement to address all the needs and concerns of the passengers that are inside the building and on airplanes right now. They are all sheltered in place. We're not sure exactly when the airport will reopen for operations. We're going to work together with all the law enforcement that's here, our airlines, and all the other agencies before we actually move to reopen up the airport. But in the meantime, as the Sheriff has indicated, we're just going to go step by step, methodically through the building before we take any steps to reopen operations. We'll keep everybody informed as best we can through social media and our airport website as to when that may occur. And we'll also be setting up a hotline for families or friends that may be looking for folks that they haven't been able to reach in contact with. And we'll also publish that in the relatively near future, again, on our hop site and out through the website and through social media. That's all I have for now.
Good afternoon. My name is George Pirro. I'm the special agent in charge of the FBI's Miami field office. As the Sheriff mentioned, the FBI is working very closely with the Broward Sheriff's Office, supporting their ongoing efforts here at the airport. We're working jointly doing all of the witness interviews as well as the suspect interview. The investigation is very early. We have a lot of preliminary information that we are going through, but at this point our role is to actively support the Broward Sheriff's Office until we make a determination on the nature and the motive of this incident. Thank you.
We've heard about a shooting in Terminal 1. What can you tell us about that? Just refer to the camera.
At this time, there's been no shooting at any place else but at the downstairs of Terminal 2. There's no confirmation of any shooting. As a matter of fact, at this point as I speak, the only gunshots fired at any time during this horrific incident have been downstairs in Terminal 2.
What happened at Terminal 1? That everyone was evacuating. People said they heard shots upstairs.
It seems like somebody got injured evacuating, nothing to do with any.
Heard shots after the initial lone shooter at the other terminal. He heard shots directly behind him inside the parking lot.
We've had no confirmation of that. We have law enforcement personnel, both federal, state, and local, throughout the airport. No law enforcement in this time has confirmed that there's been any gunshots other than was fired at Terminal 2.
We also saw someone being arrested. Is there another person possibly involved?
Not in the shooting aspect of it. We're reviewing tapes. If someone was arrested, it might be for a plethora of things. But to my knowledge, no one was taken into custody. People could have been secured in handcuffs until we found out who they were, what they were, and how they were related or not related to this scenario. So I don't know if they were physically arrested or not, but there's been no color. Happened around the baggage area.
Any information as to why?
One suspect only in custody. We're not releasing any information on that suspect. Yes, sir.
Are you able to say what kind of weapon was used in the shooting
No.
in Terminal 2?
No.
Was it an automatic? Was it a semi-automatic?
We're not going to comment.
Was there a struggle while we're apprehending him?
No, when we apprehended him, the subject was arrested without incident.
Any motive?
I don't know.
Does it appear that the shooter was waiting for somebody to arrive and go to baggage and then ambush them?
We're at the very beginning of the investigative stages. That's what this is all about. That's why at this point the lead on the investigation is with the Broward Sheriff's Office. If we do uncover at some time that this was related to any type of terrorist or terrorist activities, then the FBI will have complete incident command of this, and we'll be assisting the FBI as we move forward with the investigation. I want to say this is not the time for anybody to call 911 on this incident. We're all over here. If you have a real emergency, of course, but if it has involved you, please keep the 911 lines open. And if you need information, you can follow us on Twitter at Sheriff. At Broward Sheriff. Twitter at Broward Sheriff.
Sir, have you been able to identify any vehicle at the airport that might belong to the shooter?
Not at this time, not to my knowledge.
So at this point, there doesn't appear to be a terrorism indication at all, or too early?
No, it's too early to say either way on that. That's what's going on right now.
The baggage area where they were coming from, where were those people coming from? Where were they? Do you know? What flight were they there?
I do know what flight, but we're not releasing any information until we can positively identify the victims and in a respectful, dignified manner notify the next of kin. We won't be giving them. No.
Sheriff, can you say victims were men, women, or children?
No, we're not going to release.
This guy acted alone?
At this point, it looks like he acted alone.
Were they part of a family?
Second active shooter within the last 30, 45 minutes when he speaks to that?
Yes, there's no at this point there's no second active shooter. There are no victims suffering for any gunshot wounds. We heard that information as well. It's not confirmed, and right now we're dealing with this incident right here.
Can you tell us what was going on in the parking garages that had the agents guns drawn, ready to go in, looking for something?
I'm sure they were looking for clearing parking lots. We have a variety of SWAT teams out and assets out clearing the entire airport to make sure it's safe. So just doing their job, working very hard and diligently.
Mr. Daly? I mean, it's Friday afternoon. I mean, about how busy was the airport? Is this the busiest it is during the week, given that it's Friday afternoon, sort of the height of tourist season?
The airport's always very busy. We're one of the fastest growing airports in the country. Again, the terminals are very full right now. Our passengers are sheltered in place. We'll be working with law enforcement to actually get them released systematically, as the sheriff has indicated, terminal by terminal, to make sure that folks are able to exit safely as they proceed with their clearing duties.
Do you have any idea how many people are secured either across the runways, in the terminal, on the plane? Any estimate as to that number?
Right now, we actually have everybody in either at the terminals, or we've had some airplanes that have landed, that we still have airplanes with people on board that have landed that have not been brought into the terminal building. It's possible that those airplanes may actually depart and not actually come into the terminal building. But on any given day, we typically handle between 80 and 100,000 passengers coming through the facility.
So people who are on planes now may not be able to get off? Is that?
That's a possibility, that we're working with the airlines that some decisions may be made. That hasn't been confirmed yet, that they may actually depart for other cities. We're going to go through the terminals, again, very slowly and methodically to make sure everything is clear before we make any decisions about releasing additional passengers into the building on top of those that are already still in the facility.
How many were in that Terminal 2 when the shooting?
I don't have that information.
Do you know how many were in the baggage area?
I don't have that information. Typically in a baggage claim, there could be hundreds of people at any one time, but I don't know what the number was at that particular moment in time now.
And how many planes have landed and not allowed to?
I don't have the number of those that are on the ground right now.
Where can passengers get that information? Are you going to put that on your website?
We're going to put information out through on our website and also on Twitter at FLL Flyer.
What happened to the runway? Sheriff Israel, can you give us a timeline? When, to your knowledge, do you know did the shooting begin? How long was the shooter at large? Where was he inside the terminal? I mean, how extensive was the chase?
And where's he being interrogated?
As I said before, it happened just before 1 o'clock. We're not going to give out any specific information about the logistics. And as I said before, shortly thereafter, almost immediately after the shooting.
Who apprehended the shooter?
He was apprehended by a Broward Sheriff's deputy, and he was taken into custody without incident.
Sheriff, did the gunman check the weapon into his luggage on an Air Canada flight, then fly here, land, take the weapon out, go in the bathroom and load it?
As I said before, that's all part of an ongoing investigation.
So we also heard that he put his gun down after the shooting and laid on the floor. Can you talk about it?
I haven't gotten that far. All I know is the gunman is in custody. He's being interviewed by a team of FBI agents and Broward Sheriff's deputies. And at the time, once we establish motive and an investigation continues and we find out what that motive is, then myself and the Mr. Pirro, the director SAC of the FBI, will make a decision as to who takes the lead on the continuing investigation.
Sheriff, did any of your deputies fire their weapons at this parking garage? Is that possibly what we heard? What did we hear?
I don't know what you heard, but there's no confirmation of any type of gunshot anywhere but at the time of this horrific incident.
Sheriff, can you say if the gunman was a airline passenger or did he come in at the arrivals area?
I believe I know that information, but it's not something we're going to release at this time.
Can you say where he's being interrogated?
Where he is right now? I'm not sure where he is right now.
Sheriff,
Sheriff, if there was no other viable threat, a second threat, why would the airport be closed after the first person was arrested and being interrogated? Why shut down the airport?
As I said, we can't say there's no viable threat. We have to clear the airport. It's just a common sense approach. My concern right now